we got some questions on there too today.
Yeah,
on the Facebook.
Yeah, I got it pulled up right here.
Okay, cool. Bring it too. All right, got a couple viewers so far. Welcome to Kayak Kevin podcast number 6. It is February 17th, 2014, and we have Ric Burnley today and Lee Williams. And just the from last week, we had to cancel last week's because apparently our last podcast was a little bit too much partying for the neighbors there.
It was uproar amongst the locals.
I split the house that I live in, and my I guess housemate didn't like that we were having people over and making that much of a ruckus, you know, and so made it hard for us. So we moved it here to Lee's house, and so appreciate you keeping the podcast going. So thanks to Lee, we have kept the podcast going, because otherwise it was probably a couple more, maybe another month there before we weren't going to be able to do it there. But yeah, so I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem at all. Huh? The podcast lives on. Studio 2.
Secret location.
And it's because you know what? It's fun. It's fun. You know,
actually,
in response.
Sea level right here. Right. So we're below sea level right here.
But yeah, it's been a good response. So I wanted to, we were seeing that it's a good response. People are liking it, and so we definitely wanted to keep it going. And didn't want something like that to stop it. Some little bullshit like that to stop it. But yeah. So yeah, Ric. We touched on who Ric is, and if you don't know who Ric is, well, we can say, what would you call him, Lee? He would be the most influential, I guess, kind of one of the most influential guys in fishing. Not only kayak fishing, but fishing all over the place.
No, that's that other guy.
That you wouldn't know, right? Right. The guy, you wouldn't know his face, but you see his name if you read any magazine.
Yeah,
if you read any magazine.
Any magazine, honestly. In the past, what, 20 years?
15, yeah.
Well, at least the last 10
years, yeah.
with the major magazines you've been doing. But yeah, so so Ric, right? If you should have brought a magazine. I should have brought a Kayak Angler at least.
Yeah,
should have. You have some? Yeah, bust up magazines. So yeah, Ric is Kayak Angler Magazine, the editor of Kayak Magazine. I said last time it was your editor in chief.
Kayak Angler Magazine. Comes out 4 times a year.
But he's the editor of Kayak Magazine, so this is Kayak Angler Magazine. So this is one of the I mean, this is the first one in this type of quality where it is, you know, it's high gloss, it's a real deal magazine. So if you've seen,
they're very nice magazines.
Yeah, it's like
we work real hard on it. But we enjoy it. Yeah, it's fun.
But you've just taken that over.
I've seen that a lot.
In the last year.
Well, a little over a year, yeah.
Yeah, and it was cool because when you said you were taking it over, we were like, oh shit. This, I mean, you're not only at the time when you took this over. I mean, you're regional editor for Saltwater Angler, Saltwater Sportsman Magazine. So regional editor means you basically bring stories from this area, right? So, and you were going down to Florida. I think you're covering some stuff. I mean, basically, as a reporter, what Ric does, what's interesting is he hops on charter boats and just takes pictures, you know, and it's advertisement for the charter boats. It's a story. You know, he gets a story out of it, and so that's kind of how he gets all these. You know, not only, you know, basically kayaking is just you actually fish kayaking. So, but all the offshore stuff, you hop on the boats and you take all the pictures and it gets in the magazines. So you were doing the regional stuff for those 2 magazines. But when you took on Kayak Angler Magazine, that's a different thing. That's not just a regional thing where you're sending stories. You're putting together a whole damn magazine.
There's a lot of people you have to consider in this. I mean, there's a lot of areas. That, you know, it's
a challenge.
It's cold right now, right here, and we want to see cold stuff in the magazine. It's not cold in Florida. It's not cold in Hawaii. It's, you know, this thing goes to parts of the world.
Yeah.
That it's not, you know, it's not cold there.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So,
but it's a worldwide magazine, right? I mean, what's the distribution?
International. You know, like we're probably like 50,000 subscriptions, and then, you know,
what's what countries?
Oh gosh, all over the world. You know, I mean, we've got coverage in Mexico. Of course, this issue here had you know, kayak fishing in the world. You know, destinations around the world that, you know, where kayak fishing is exploding to the point where there's now, you know, you can go to these places. You know, Italy. You know, and South America. You know, and Panama, and
South Africa,
Puerto Rico. I mean, some places are close enough that anybody can get to, and some places are absolutely wild. And but the thing is when you get there, there's kayak fishing guides ready to take you fishing. There's places for you to stay. You know, so the sport is spread not only to the point where people in these countries are doing it, but where they've, you know, they're starting to build industries around it too. And it's cool to see that kayak anglers are interested in traveling around the world and, you know, hitting some of these destinations and stuff like that too. So it's you know, that's just one part of it. Just watching this sport expand in so many different ways. It's
and I've seen that with I'm getting these emails from these guys out in Hawaii. The Christmas Island thing that Boogie D always is doing, and some other ones that are, you know, the Costa Rica trips that I hear about. These guys are, you know, they email me with these things. But yeah, it's not only that, but just I like the fact that the industry has exploded in these regions that are like, oh,
yeah.
You would think we're here in America, we fish here and we seeing how it's blown up here and we see how it's spread out, but for these other countries, not only to be kayak fishing, but an industry to blow up around that fishery is really cool.
Yeah, no, you know, and that's the thing too. The industry's followed as well. So yeah, you can get kayaks in all these places too, and you know, get fully rigged up with everything. What Hook One just opened up a location, I believe, in Mexico. You know, so I mean, there you go, right there. Yeah, going international.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So yeah, it's exciting.
That's another local guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember the croaker guy in Argentina. Did you ever get up with that guy?
Yeah, I did, but and he did send us some stuff about how he did and all like that. Was pretty cool.
Yeah, this is giant croaker, and that's one thing with, you know, the magazine, but with the way media and where we have Facebook today and the way we're so spread out that we see. I mean, I would never seen those croakers in Argentina if it wasn't for Facebook, you know, stuff like that. And I mean,
dreaming of catching rooster fish.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean.
But unless somebody would go down there or you know, find it or blow it up, you know, able to put it in the magazines and being able. It's on Facebook. I see it. I send it to you, and you go check this out. I mean, these are. I mean, they're not, you know, croakers, but for us, these croakers that they're catching are like 5-pound croakers, and it's normal for 5-pound croakers.
Right. Rip your arms off.
Yeah. I don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool that not only through the internet you can find stuff through that, but you have people there, and the magazine is so well known and well spread out that those people are also saying, hey, check this out. They're contacting the magazine itself, which is contacting you guys themselves, trying to get noticed.
Yeah, it's funny how kayak fishing and the internet kind of grew together, and they're kind of perfect complements to each other as well. And some imperfect complements too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, and that's the thing with the magazine as well. You know, we got the website and you know, Facebook page and Twitter and, you know, Pinterest and everything else that's going on.
And you do the weekly thing. Well, I know you get emails.
Right.
You get emails from and now you don't do that, or does that?
Yeah, no. Well, that's we just hired a web editor, Ben Duquesne. He's been doing a great job for us. He's
but you still have
the
to
magazine.
send content.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of sometimes the stuff you do on there is content that's not being used in a magazine. Like Ben contacts me is you know, so that's separate. Not only is there content going in the magazine, but then there's content constantly being put on the Facebook and the Twitters and the other stuff like that.
Emails. You send content and, you know, it's just a lot of the sport to cover. Yeah. So it's exciting.
Yeah. And a lot of areas to cover it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you know, Twitter. I mean, hell, I'm on Twitter, but just basically from Facebook to Twitter. I'm not. Right. It's too much for me to handle, like, all these different ones and try to like respond to all that stuff. But you've got to do that with.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's why, you know, Ben's a big help, but yeah.
He's doing like a lot of the stories.
He's taking over web editing, and so
is he doing that? He's doing that too.
Oh, cool. And he contributes to the magazine. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. He's contacted me a bunch of times for a story, or just, you know, kind of, you know, sentences and stuff.
Yeah, but that's the way it's got to be. You know, you gotta be all over the place.
Yeah, I used to kill
7 pros.
Yeah, with the one-liner thing, it was funny because at the beginning when we were like, we should kind of, I guess, touch on how we met and all that stuff. But at the beginning when you were like wanted one-liners from me for quotes and stuff, and I'd go on and go like, all right, just tell me that in 3 words, damn it. So I've gotten better.
Yeah.
But just rewind on that. I guess we'll go to how we met. I mean, it was the TKA thing in 2004, and so that was the first kind of first on the water meeting I think they had. It was maybe 50 guys and we all fished Rudy. And
Right.
so we went there, and it was like all kind of, we were getting skunked. I mean, a couple blues and stuff like that. And then I went, and at that time I was fishing HRBT a lot, so I had that place wired, and it was exploding.
But wait,
too.
let me stop you there.
Oh.
A couple of blues. So
well,
at one point I look over,
I'm
and
gonna interrupt
Kevin's
you
like,
halfway.
"Hey, look at me!" And I look over, and he's got a bluefish hanging from his arm, like it's chomped on his arm.
but he had
Somebody
already
wants to know how to catch blue.
But he had already introduced himself as Rick, writer for Fisherman Magazine. All right, this dude's a writer. Hey, writer dude, check this out.
I knew I had something to write about, that's for sure. I knew I'd found somebody to write about that for sure.
But no, so, yeah, so,
Right,
yeah,
so bailed out of there.
and okay, at the time, so yeah, I had done my first tour. Where it was basically real good HRBT. That's basically where my home was during that time for fishing. And then you were writing for the Fisherman Magazine. The Fisherman Magazine was a regional. It was split up into regions, right? And you well, your dad. Okay, rewind again. Let me go. Your dad.
My people came to this country in 1776.
Okay, we had a chicken and an egg.
But right, my dad was editor of the Fisherman Magazine.
Fisherman Magazine,
And so I started helping him out with that, and then I started covering this area for the fishermen.
And there was at that time.
It was a regional magazine.
But it was that point was it split up into the Northeast?
Oh yeah, it's always had
Okay,
four
it was the
different
four
issues.
different
Yeah,
issues,
yeah,
and
we
you
covered
basically
this area. Yep.
your dad was the creator of of the magazine, and then so you had this area, and you were living down here and doing all that stuff. So yeah, so I knew you had that access, and I had just come off of a tour, so and I was about to go on a tour, so I was like, okay, I had already known when I started the tours, that I knew that the media was gonna be good. This is so cool, kayak fishing is so cool that I know I could show it. And I just needed an outlet too. So, but you know, so we got writer guy. I was like, oh, this guy's a writer. Check this out. So that was the whole thing. So we also caught some blues, and then we go. I say, okay, we don't catch some fish. Let's go to HRBT now. It's getting dark. We can catch some fish. You said you guarantee some fish. I said I guarantee some fish. Yeah. And we go out there, and it was when the stripers were coming out of the water, and they're on top, and it was awesome, and we had a really good time, and you know. We were friends from then on out.
Well, I remember when I got back too. See, I had a bunch of ideas for using the kayak, and I needed to find somebody who could go.
Right. That was my next thing. That was my next
well,
thing.
Well, handling ability. Crazy was
and not only with the media stuff, but I was looking for a guy who was going to show me how to I wanted to learn how to catch the big fish in our areas. I was seeing in magazines. I didn't know anybody who was doing it. I basically didn't know anybody who was fishing, kayak fishing at that point, besides when the TKA started up. But, so I wanted to know that. You had that knowledge because you had fished like reds at the shoals. That was the first thing we had targeted. That was coming up. You had done it before. I was the kayak knowledge. You were the fishing knowledge of the area. And so we went to your house, and you busted out charts, and I was like, hell yeah, I got charts, and I was into it, and you were into it, and it was like that was when we really were like, okay, this guy we're on the same level, we're kind of on the same page with what we want to do. We want to take the kayak fishing here locally. We wanted to push it and catch the fish that hadn't been caught before out of a kayak. Right. That was kind of the goal with the whole shoals. I mean, you asked me about the shoals. I was like, "Well, no, stay away from that shit." I mean, the shoals is somewhere you avoid, So we were going to go in there, and then we learned how to do that. The first year we weren't successful. I was on a tour the next year. I think you guys caught one or something the next year. I finally got mine the next year, but yeah. So we've been friends since then. But we really did a lot kayak fishing wise in the area. You were the guy who put it out in front of everybody through, TKA was growing, but you had the media outlet. This is still before, big forums were on the internets. They weren't as big as they were. Yeah. This is 2004, 2005. So it wasn't, everybody didn't get their information from from forums and stuff,
from people
like they
knew what
magazines were really helpful back then, because that's where you learned. I mean, that's basically how I got to want to go after these fish. The magazines, Kayak Angler Magazine and your magazine. So that was what we wanted to do. But So we did that, yeah, and kept on going with the stuff. I mean, stripers, we targeted every big fish we could. Cobia, we did all
Big
that.
black drum around
Big
the
black drum, we
islands.
did that, and
Striper that year too.
striper that year, the high rise, which is
And then out in the ocean too. I mean, they came right up to the beach.
That's right. We had a really good year of that.
Remember that day we went down to the beach and it was like
Sandbridge.
flat calm.
Yep.
And they were freaking birds everywhere. As soon as the sun came up, the birds were just everywhere.
The guys in the surf were catching them.
The guys-
we were
as well.
catching them
Right.
right.
Oh, yeah.
We were catching them right behind the
Casting.
surf, and the guys in the
Yeah. And as soon as you launched through the water, I mean, it's just
Yeah,
they
it
were
was.
everywhere. You're chasing down, pods of birds like right on the beach and casting, so it was flat, calm,
Yeah.
like a lake.
Yep.
That was an awesome day. We were sitting there talking, and you had your lure out just on the bottom, and all of a sudden, Raj was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, like
It's
lunchtime,
on-
yeah.
It's like a stretch 30 on the bottom, just sitting there.
Coming tight.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, good old days. But yeah,
Yeah. So that's been 10 years.
yeah.
It's been 10 years now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I met Rick in 05 during the epic drum blitz
Yep.
at Sandbridge.
That's right,
Brought so
because
many
you were down there
people
you went down there on the,
Yep, the
Yeah.
pier, the surf
Pier.
thing,
Yeah.
And
There was so many fish down there. That was stupid. I mean, I've seen over 80 fish caught in one day off that stupid pier.
the same kind of deal. You had the skills to join, and you were crazy enough to join along. And
that's the thing is when
You
when,
wouldn't
when
leave
you contact you told him that I want to looking for somebody fishing. You could
Yeah.
fish that day.
Rick put something on Pier and Surf, and I just got a hold of Rick because I had his number and not your number, and I was like, let him know.
And that was,
I'll
the,
go.
that was the thing. That was the thing with when
Yeah.
we started fishing. Was like we wanted the guys to do this kind of search to push this envelope.
Right.
We wanted guys that were able to fish. So we he. That first night at HRBT, I remember him saying, "Oh, okay, you guys can fish." It wasn't like we're flopping
Right.
around. We target, boom, hit, boom, fight, land.
Yeah.
It was here's
Right.
the pitch. We were already kind of in that. We were
Yeah.
good, and you saw it, and then you came in where we saw it, and you were like, "Okay, we're good." We got some.
I
guys
learned
that
those
can go.
slippery flounder. And no net. I lost, I believe it was like the first 2 or 3 times I had a kayak. I had my kayak, and it was probably borrowed at that point.
Yeah.
I tried net.
Yeah.
I haven't used one since.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I don't know how many fish I stabbed with a net and just like de-hooked. I mean, that net makes an
No.
awesome de-hooker.
And the one time when I was my first trophy chase, everybody was like, when I was doing my first trophy chase here, I was going for the specs, and the guys were, "You have to use a net. You can't land them." I had a net that first one. I had a 27-incher coming in, and poop, gone, and I'm like, man.
Yeah.
Put it away.
Yeah,
I
that's
put
it.
it away, and that was it. That was the last time I ever even tried. Yeah.
Learn lessons the hard way.
This guy wanted to know, before we get off too far away, he had a question about the magazine. Let's see what it says.
Cool. Yeah. So.
Let's see. It's Joe, and he says, Will does KA put out like a top 10 kayak anglers, top 10 kayak fishing events, top 10 rod and reels, all of that stuff. Every issue we try to feature.
It's always top
pros.
tens.
This issue coming up, we're going to have tournament pro tips on how to win a tournament from all over the country, all different disciplines. But like there are 5-10 things that they love to do or that they
On
do
that.
to give them an edge.
On that, the guy from Oklahoma
Yeah.
caught the sailfish,
Yeah.
and one down in Florida, he'd never been sailfishing before. That's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
just went down there,
There's-
did work.
Yeah, come up from here. I mean, there's a lot more tournaments like than we have around here. It's not a really tournament, kayak tournament. Like the guys in Texas do tournaments like all
There's
the
a
time.
series.
Every weekend.
There's a circuit.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally, it's like the Bass Circuit. I mean, you're here this weekend, there the next weekend, like leaving your family to go kayak fishing and like trying to win money. I mean,
it's just
people
like
are
the Bass stuff.
literally
It's
trying
awesome.
making a living doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Florida. I mean, well, they've got the area for it. They've got great inshore fishing, so you can plan an event on in a weekend.
Long season,
and
yeah.
long season, and real reliable fishing. So it's set up perfectly for that kind of thing. Which brings me to your question: the 10 kayak fishing events on our website. We have the Kayak Angler Tournament Network, and you can find all kinds of tournaments near you or far, wherever you want to do. All the tournaments list their information in there, and then you click on the link, and it takes you to their page. And top 10 rods and reels. Next issue also we're going to have our gear guide, which will have some of the, I think we're going to do a section on ICAST winners, rods and reels and lures and stuff like that. That's not only the hottest, but the best.
And that changes all the time.
It changes
it's
all the
always,
time.
It's almost like, yeah.
And how can
Yeah.
you tell somebody that this is? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, as far as that's really opinionated as far as like what is the best bait casting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but you know, I mean, we
I mean,
taste
you
the
got
same
guys
price
that
range.
you
in the
have-
price range,
right.
yes. In the price range, yes.
You know,
Well,
you
I mean, you
Yeah,
have guys
piece
that
of shit.
absolutely love Shimano, and you can't tell them any different. You know what I mean? You have guys that love Daiwas and guys that love Abu Garcias. I mean, there's things like that. I mean, there's people that you can't tell any different. You know what I mean? But I mean, as far as setting a, best of the class.
And you can't do it. Yeah, you can do it. I mean, every year. You have to do it every year. Because
Right.
There's new,
Yeah.
new shit every year. There's new.
Somebody
coming in.
upgrades a bearing or a sweeter handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stuff, I mean, sure, it's
They do.
it's subjective, but it's stuff that we all use. And, I've got great $150 combos, that I use, and I've got ones that are more expensive that I use. And, both find their ways, into the reviews and stuff. Because, right, that's not everybody needs $400, $500 combo.
Right.
Some guys will do just fine with $150 combo. Depends on how much you use it, too.
Yeah, right.
Like, if you do one thing all the time, like I like, trout fishing and puppy drum fishing, you have to have a good trout rod, so, you might want to drop a couple extra beans on that.
Yep.
But, something like, trolling or something you don't do as much, maybe not put as much stress on the tackle, you probably find something that's good enough.
Yeah, and exactly what you're doing. I mean, you're kayak fishing.
Yeah.
Or wade fishing.
Right.
Your reels are in the water the whole time.
Yeah. Well, stuff is to the point now. I mean, as long as it's not, super cheap, then it's usually
That's,
pretty good.
that's the thing.
Yeah,
Rinse it off.
I tell
And-
people you $130 range
Right.
for
Right.
reels. Those are the ones they're going to work well through the season. If you're, I mean, mine gunk up, I take them in, get them clean, and they're worth getting clean. That takes a couple bucks, and they're good. So that's $130 range.
Right.
Those range of reels are always good. That's what I always like. That's what I always tell people. If someone's trying to get a good something good that's going to last that.
Yeah.
But then because then you can buy the $500 one that's going to last.
They've got it.
They got it if you want it. You got the money. They got the
They
real.
do.
I mean,
Yes,
I
they
bought
do.
one of those brand new Corrados when they came out. The
Dude.
200S or whatever, the big,
I
low
saw.
profile giant one.
Have you seen the Shimano big giant
Yeah,
low profile
yeah,
reel?
yeah.
Guy bought that at the shop. Ordered it at the shop. 4 stripers around the island.
Okay.
Coming tight.
Like 45 pounds of drag.
And
And
it's,
just like,
it's like $500. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
That's not the one I bought.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Several years ago, I bought the big Corrado S.
Yeah, but this one's
This is
it's not a low profile. It's that big. It's
It's huge.
Somebody had a question about that earlier. Why we prefer? It seems like we prefer low profile bait casters over round reels. The comfort of handling it, holding it. I mean, low profile reels you can palm like this. It's. I guess maybe my hands aren't big enough to palm a big. The Cardiffs are just. It's not as comfortable to hold.
That is, and it's the comfort.
And if I'm-
it's the
and-
small,
and-
I like if I could fish with a reel this big, and
Right.
I mean small, I would
Right.
with big a little handle, I would love it. But a low profile reel, they're comfortable, they're not in the way. A round reel sometimes will wobble. Sometimes if you're in a situation, but, and also people I've had questions where people ask us about spinning gear, and spinning gear in a kayak. One thing is you're sitting.
You lose 6 inches.
Yeah, right. You have 6 inches below the rod that you can't go to the deck or go to your thigh, which is the deck when you're sitting down in the kayak. So that's like one of the real good reasons why I use conventional. And when I first met you, I was using all spinning gear.
Yeah.
And then I transitioned over because
I fished with a lot of spinning gear to start. The line twist issues.
Yep.
I mean.
Yeah, no, I mean,
all kinds of things.
I still use spinning all the time, especially for my trout rods and stuff like that. Obviously, not something so big that you're gonna have to put a lot of leverage on or anything else like that. And I like the ability to have like complete free spool, and let the line completely sink without any kind of resistance to it, and casting light lures and stuff like that. So I mean, I like spinning rods for stuff like that. But yeah, when you get the bigger fish, conventional is usually the way to go.
And it's the way the rods. On a spinning rod, you're pulling on the guides. On a conventional rod, you're pushing on the rod, which gives you more.
Well, now they got those conventional rods where the guides.
It's all weird.
Yeah.
And then,
I used one when we went king mackerel fishing in the kayak.
The
No, it was
feel
perfect.
wobbly
Yeah, it was
or
good.
balance
And,
was
and
right.
what you're doing is you're pulling down on the line, and then you're not going to get that rod twist. You know what I'm saying? So you're not fighting the rod twist. And so it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it would have its purpose for some reason. Otherwise, it wouldn't.
But yeah, that was like a
wouldn't
chain
have lasted.
rod,
Yeah, so they're still around. So
yeah.
As much as companies change shit all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Get rid
Every
of
time you like
stuff.
something.
Yeah.
Every time you like,
They only change what you like.
I know. Every time.
they don't.
Always
They don't
something.
change anything that you dislike. They only change what you
we
like.
just did this. Well, that's a lot. But I've been known to be known as a Cinderella, or not Cinderella, but Goldilocks. Goldilocks to other companies. And Goldilocks to other companies because I'm always really picky about.
Well, that's what you need to be.
Quarter inch of something on.
Yeah.
If these low-profile reels would have clickers, we could like completely eliminate. all
Yeah,
that
and well,
stuff.
and
You know what I mean?
And there are some, but they're just a little bit more expensive, and they're not as small. There is some with clickers. I think some of the the new Abus have clickers on them. But they're expensive.
Well, you can't get into this game if you don't.
You're right about that.
But again, something for all different levels, that's for sure.
And that's one thing about being a writer too, is you get to experience a lot of different reels. I mean, when I was working at a tackle shop, it was like that too. I got to see all these different brands. I mean, when we're sponsored by like one company, it's pretty much what we use. But when you're like you review stuff for a magazine this big, you get boom, you try stuff out. I mean,
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's
We
fun.
use them on the kayaks, on the boat.
And you have to go out and test them. I mean, they send them to you
we
for
definitely
review
put
to
some
get
stuff
tested.
To the test.
Turn that thing around and watch me get snatched out of the boat by the amberjack.
But do you ever like, I don't even want to use this today. I mean, I want to use my shit though. But
Well, and sometimes you got to have two different. You got two different gigs. You got fun fishing. And you got work fishing. So sometimes I'll go out with all the new stuff and try it all out. And then, but on a afternoon trip on a weekday or something like that, when I'm just going down to catch some trout at the jetties or what have you. I just grab my old stuff and
know what works.
Sometimes something new makes it into the old stuff category, but
imagine something good comes across. Oh, wait a minute, this is
there's definitely
you guys don't want this back, do you? You guys don't want this back.
Not getting into brands, but there's definitely a few jewels out there that we keep with us all the time.
But it's been cool to watch. Companies start to recognize the sport as well.
Like ones that aren't so much the real fishing companies.
I get to go to this ICAST convention every year, the international tackle convention. It's only dealers and the press that's there. But anyway, man, it's kayak fishing everywhere you go. Not just all the kayak companies, a lot of the kayak companies are there representing their boats, but also like other companies that aren't really related to kayak fishing will have displays that include kayak fishing, so it's cool,
It's part electronics companies. They're trying to sell.
Sure.
I mean, fish finders. All that stuff.
Well,
people use that stuff.
The proof is I guess the bottom line of that is kayaking is full on part of fishing now.
It's a full on fishing industry.
Yes. It's part of the bigger.
It's not a kayak industry. It's not a kayak industry.
Yeah.
It's a fishing industry.
Yes, right. And it's part of the bigger fishing industry.
I think it's starting to become part of the kayak industry too, and that's pretty cool as well.
Everyone,
that's the last
lots of people
fishermen are easy win, but what about paddlers?
Right, lots of people are making kayaks that are becoming more fishing friendly. I mean, instead of just your core companies, more companies are showing up too.
There's not kayakers so much coming over from kayaking.
Right.
It's not. I mean, how big of a market is? I bet. I mean, it seems like I'm seeing more fishing kayaks more than I'm seeing recreational kayaks. I'm seeing more people that are kayak fishing rather than going out for the recreational paddle. That seems like it's a bigger industry now than just the regular kayak.
Yeah, I don't know if it's overcome, the paddling, what part of the entire paddling industry it is exactly, but certainly it's growing, and of course every company's recognizing that. But I think what you see is also, of course, you see the dedicated fishing kayaks, but now you're starting to see more kind of crossover paddling kayaks with some fishing features like sit-in sides, that recreational people like to get, and paddle around, and they feel comfortable in them and that, but they also have fishing rods and stuff like that. So, again, is the kayak fishing getting into the kayaking market as well?
Yeah and no, because then we have these boats that are not even paddle, they're not paddle friendly.
Well, that's the thing, I just like to see more paddle, friendly.
Well,
I enjoy paddling.
There's a company from the South Africa boats. Those
those things.
Punching those boats are starting. I think there's a company that's making them here in the States, or at least offering them here in the States. I've been seeing is it Stealth, I think.
Stealth, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean those. Yeah, those are
like
paddling boats. Yeah, those are but fishing. Those are the same ones that you're using in South Carolina, South
Africa.
Yep, it's pretty exciting times, and just getting better.
Yeah, it's growing, and there's the other magazine, which is.
You have people that are like. The economy was rougher. I mean, people were going from boat fishing to kayak fishing. The transfer of people more from kayakers to kayak anglers is from like people in boats and people surf fishing. That's people that just surfed and pier fishing. Now
around here we've seen a lot. We definitely see boaters going. Okay, we're
in the same place they are, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they see us in the same places they are all the time.
Yeah. And the surf guys, they expand their range.
They went, it evolved in surf fishing. It went from taking your bait out on the surfboard and then coming back in to now you just take your rod and reel out past the thing and set up out there and fish. I mean, the transfer of people, and it's probably the same all over the place. I mean, it's cost efficient to kayak fish. You can go to the same places. We can catch the same fish.
And that's
especially if you look at and if you're willing to travel, you can catch the same fish as anyone anywhere. I mean, the close to shore but pelagic fishing down in Florida or Costa Rica. I mean, it rivals. Where is
Hawaii?
Hawaii too, but
Hawaii's that's right there.
Where Jim is.
Baja.
Baja. Down there.
Yep.
I mean, that stuff. I mean, they do use motherships sometimes, but a lot of that fishing is you can paddle out to it. I mean, so if you're willing to travel, you can fish. You can catch anything we can catch out of a boat.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that video, that crazy video that guy put out. Where was he from? And that I don't know whether he landed or not, but at one part in the video, he had that huge black marlin just wailing off in front of the boat. I mean.
That was Hawaii one, wasn't that Hawaii?
No.
He was from Scandinavia. I want to say Norway. We're just getting ready to do a piece on him. I should know better. and he put it on his. This is what I want to do, and he made the whole film and everything. Works for a fishing magazine over there as well.
Oh, okay, cool. I guess I haven't seen that.
He went to Baja, I think, is where he was when he caught the fish. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean.
It was a big fish, though. I mean.
Yep. Non-stop. Full throttle.
All right,
people are getting crazy with this stuff.
We do have some more questions on here. Depth finder question. This is I don't use one. Not against it. I just don't have any. It's just a lot more stuff. I'll get to.
Yeah.
I just want to knock out this.
Haven't been discovered.
You have used depth finders before. Before Lee doesn't use any.
Well, I mean, again.
I used to. I tried it a couple times.
The places we fish, we don't really need them.
Yeah,
it would be good for striper fishing.
Sometimes, but I mean, what are you going to do if you don't have any marks? Where are you going to go?
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're not working fish, where the hell are you going to go? You know what I mean? That's why.
But guys.
I mean, if you're the deeper water where those guys know where those wrecks are. I mean, it would right off here at the beach where we're sitting right now, literally right off the beach. There's a reef out there to fish. Except it has a buoy on it, so we don't need a depth finder for that.
Right. And a lot of the stuff that we fish, we have out of the water structure, like the buoys or the bridge or we've also learned by fishing this for so long where the drop offs are and all that stuff. So we've mapped it out in our heads.
Yeah, and you can use other cues, like rips in the water and stuff like that. I think kayaks are closer to the water and kind of more in tune with all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I mean.
But I like depth finders when somebody else has them. But
I'll ask you about it. I'll ask you what the water temperature is. Everything. Got one. Especially if I hear it beeping, I want to know every time. See, if you're around me, turn your alarm off.
Yeah.
Because if it beeps, I want to know why. I gotta know
But I
why.
love it when there's some guy with a depth finder and you're not catching anything and you're like, hey, we're not catching anything, and he'll say something like, I'm not marking anything.
Yeah. Molesworth did that. Came up to us when we were sitting at the ships for like an hour.
Yeah.
Night, cold, bored as hell. He goes up, oh, we ain't marking nothing. Millie, shut the fuck up. Get out of here. Yeah, we've been sitting here for an hour. We're just trying to just fish, and you're coming over here. Oh, you ain't got shit around here. And paddle on. He paddles, leaving us like all bummed out.
Joe wants us to pump TKAA again for beating all those boats in that tournament last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, remember we did that first year.
But we're not beat.
Second.
Yeah, we didn't
Second
beat.
place. But come on.
They
that was so
said-
awesome the
that's
first
true.
time.
Yeah, the first year-
These guys this year set a tournament record for
Yeah,
points.
yeah,
they
really
swept
worked up. They really
numerous
worked up.
categories. They
They
placed
worked
in
up.
almost every category.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
When you should have seen the faces when those people when they showed up at the scales and the fish that they had, and the turnout for the club. Everybody that was supposed to show up showed up. I mean, it was a great day for everyone, and the weather was not that great.
Nah.
The weather was not that great at all, and those guys went out and just beat around.
Yeah.
The guys that fished the bridge caught. I mean, they swept the sheep's head. They swept triggerfish. I think they swept spadefish or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
people in boat. These are people in boats catch fish bigger than that, like all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
No, and
you had all the local boating clubs represented.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
And
what
there's
it's
a lot of
this is
local
the
boating
tournament.
clubs.
club
good
challenges,
grief,
yeah.
There's like 10 clubs at least, you know,
Yeah.
in this area. And serious anglers, you know.
Yeah, real deal guys. The guys who are,
Yeah.
you know, right, they give the seminars and write the stories, and
Yeah,
the guys
yeah,
are
no,
fishing. Yes,
Yeah, no slouches. that's
and
for
yeah,
sure.
so and then the kayakers won it this year.
Yeah.
We would the first year we did it. We did. I was fishing with it, and we took second.
That's
That was the first year, so that was a big deal that kayakers even placed. Not only took second
I try
or
to say
third
it
or
was
whatever,
unfair.
was second.
Those dang on kayakers are cheating.
Yeah, and then all kinds of yeah, that was ridiculous. And then, yeah, I got out
We've
of
been
it.
barred from most tournaments. They don't want us to have anything. It's true. It's true. Yeah, but you know, that's okay. It's a compliment.
Oh, talking about sheepshead, talking sheepshead. A guy, oh, it's Wayne. Wayne asked if artificials for talking sheepshead a waste of time or
I would venture to say yes.
yeah.
Artificials?
You've done the test. You've done that test. Didn't you do a gulp test?
I've used gulp for tog, and I've caught tog on gulp. Guys up
I think you
north.
did it for an article. Here's the test.
Yeah. You know, you catch them on there. You know, if I had my choice, I would go with a natural bait. But guys up north, you know, are using these bucktails. They're not using any natural bait. They're using bucktails, and these things they like lay on the bottom, and they just lay there, and they got like a little crabby kind of tail on it, and the togs are
No
biting
scent
them.
at all?
Nothing.
Hmm.
They're biting them. These guys up there, I mean, they go total, you know, all artificial. They wouldn't, you know, they don't touch bait for anything.
No,
and for tog and for all kinds of stuff, you know, flounder, everything, you know. So, yeah.
Then I guess it would work.
But, you know, I mean, I don't know if it would work down here. I mean,
There's no reason why it
is
wouldn't.
who wants to try it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, here's
You're going first.
I don't.
yeah. Your eyes are like,
Yeah.
but.
Give me your crowd.
Now I have heard. I've heard. No, we've seen a video. We've seen an underwater video of this area of togs biting, and they're visual. They're looking at. They're looking at it, and you know, there's not just a scent thing. And they're looking at it for a long time. I remember you saw it, and you wanted to pull your hair out. You didn't want to. You didn't want to talk for. You don't want to know what's happening down there. When they're just looking at your baits like this, all all
Yeah, I don't need to send a camera down there. I don't need to see that.
Now I think the Come On Fish guy caught one on artificial or caught one on something.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a video catching one on artificial, and there's also Lewis Gillingham.
Somebody else needs to take video of that dude.
But Lewis Gillingham caught one on a flounder rig on the Hampton Bar.
And
which
I
think we
I've heard
probably
of
didn't
sheep's
go
head
by.
being caught on lures, but it's early in the season. People like trolling around early season striper fishing, stuff like that. They'll hit a plug or something like that. But I mean, fish are hungry and they're moving, and
If it looks like it, I mean, like you said, like
maybe
crabby looking thing on the bottom, it's going to look like it, right?
now
Now,
Lucanus jig.
Yeah.
you thought about
I
that?
tried it, you know, and I
Nice
haven't
deep
caught any
water.
on it, but, you know, again, it wasn't long before I switched back to
Right,
crab. Now, funny story, we were fishing the bridge tunnel with Stan Gold a long time ago, and it was early in the season, and we were cast into the bridge pilings for cobia, and, I mean, we were casting, like, you know, a big swim shad, like that big, and we caught a sheep's head on it. in the mouth.
Yeah.
He bit it. He definitely bit it. It was a big, huge swim shad, and he was casting up against the pilot and letting it drop, and then working it back, and he cast up against the pilot, and sheepshead ate it. It was a big one. I mean, 10, 12-pound sheepshead, so no joke.
Well, I mean, sheepshead, I think aggressive. They're one. We know these fish are territorial, right? They like pilings, and I've seen them when I'm looking at them kind of move stuff away when we see the little baby sheepshead, we see them, they're a master of that rock. I see we're sitting there casting, I'm just looking down, looking at these baby sheepshead, just watching how they act.
Chase things away from the rock.
Chase things away, yeah.
Territorial.
So that, they're probably attacking for territorial reasons. But another thing is for using stuff, unusual stuff than what we already use. Guys have sent me up north where you just use the flat jig head,
right?
With the I think it's maybe it's a sideways hook or maybe it's not, but it's they just use that for tog fishing. But I think the heaviest one they have is 1.5 ounces.
Right.
I said, well, yeah, I'm sure it'd work, but we only have like a half hour, maybe 15 minutes to use it.
Right.
Before the current starts up, and we have to go up to 6 ounces.
Right, I'm fishing 6-8 ounces most of the time.
Yeah. On the slack currents, I'm using 3 to 4, just because it's going to be moving here again. Even if it's moving on top down here, it's going to swing out. So. Yeah, I've got a guy sent me one of those. And it looked cool. I was like, yeah, I'd love to use this when it's slack, but not maybe at the ships. But those are even smaller at the ships. You got to use a smaller hook. The hook is too big for it. But yeah. So yes, I would say it's a waste of time, but you could try it if you're one of those guys who were like,
you got real.
I'm gonna catch one artificial.
You got a lot of patience. Have
it's a waste of time only if it doesn't work.
Oh yeah, but
anchor at the bridge.
Yeah, anchor on the bridge, that's going to be on the next video, and that's illegal.
You're not
technically,
well, you can anchor at the bridge, you can't tie off.
Yes, you can anchor at the bridge, but you're illegal to tether or tie off to the bridge. But there is a technique, and that's going to be on the next video. But I can't share that publicly, so it's going to be on the next video.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to get in trouble.
Okay.
I'm getting in trouble for, maybe they have to buy the DVD to get me in trouble.
Perfect.
Bail money.
You get 40
bail money line.
Yeah.
Paddles. Oh, I don't have one. You have one here.
Yeah.
We use the same paddle, just a blade shape.
We got. What are you wearing this time of year, and how do you?
I sent a video on that.
Warm?
I sent a video on that.
Oh yeah.
I already have that. That one's already answered with the video. Yeah. All the stuff that I wear on that video, on this thread, yeah. Including the gloves. And those gloves are weird because I found those at the tackle shop, and those were just like a one-off thing. He had bought a whole bunch of them, but they're awesome because they're fleece and I'll just take this top one.
But you're a little different than what I wear in the wintertime, but.
This is the paddle that me and Lee are using. This is the paddle that I've also used the whole time I've been paddling. It's long. It's a touring blade. It's an aquabound swell, but it's a touring blade, and that's low angle paddling. You've actually joked me the way just joking the way I paddle because I paddle so low.
Keep your hands right. Yeah,
the paddle blade actually the shaft of the paddle actually touches my thigh as I'm doing my paddle strokes, but some people use the higher angle paddles, which is fine. I use one when I'm using the Predator. The high, when I'm sitting up on the boat, I want my paddle more of a high angle paddle, so I use that. First you were using wide, high angle paddles, and then you started using.
Well, I was taking pictures of you, and I was looking at you when you were, I went back and I was looking at the pictures, and I was like, he's only like holding on to that paddle blade with like one finger, and that was when we were chasing the drum all over, creation over there on the Eastern Shore, and it was killing my hands, and so I got one of those low profile paddles and switched to that thing, and for that kind of stuff, long distance, you can't beat it, but I still use the larger blade paddle, the higher angle paddle for most everything that I do. I like the.
Oh, so do you switch off even in the same boat, even if you're paddling
I use the Prowler.
Right.
So I want a little bit bigger. This is a Prowler 15, old school Prowler 15. So I want a little bit bigger paddle because I need to control that big.
So boat. When do you use the
on that one, but just on days like that, where I know I'm going to be covering them, 15 miles.
What's funny is like you got access to pretty much any boat, any kayak that's ever made, and you're still using the 15 Prowler ocean kayak. I mean, it's a great boat, But there's been boats. You have a Trident 15. And
Yeah.
I don't even use that
No.
thing. That's the one that Salmon's using. You come with us that time.
Yeah, well, you find something you like, you stick with it, and that boat, has certainly done me well. I like the, it's a performance boat, and it's fast and it's seaworthy and.
No, I love it. I mean, I
maneuverable.
just got rid of mine. I sold it to Tex because I just got a newer boat. So
Right, right.
I was using it the whole time. I use it on all the DVDs on the bridge and all that stuff. I love that thing. Yeah. But the new have you tried the Ultra 4.7?
No, but I've seen you at it. It looks nice.
Feels like that boat.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me. As soon as I got
Yeah.
in and started paddling, I was like, this feels like that
Yeah.
boat. So I think you would like
The
that.
problem I find, with boats is that they sit higher, and that one definitely sits lower, and
It still has a little bit higher gunnels than the Ultra has a little bit higher gunnels
Right.
than the Prowler.
right.
But not too much. Not too much.
Yeah, that one's definitely treated me well.
Yeah.
Well, I've had 3 or 4 of them. And they've all treated me well. I haven't treated them well, but they've treated me well for sure.
Oh, you have had 3 or 4 of the same ones?
Oh yeah.
That's right. You had a blue one.
The blue one was the first
Right,
one, and
that's
then I had another yellow one, this yellow one, so that's 3.
Oh, okay. I thought this is the same yellow one you were originally.
No.
Had, so this is a newer yellow one.
Second
It's a
yellow.
newer yellow one, but it's still probably about 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah, it needs to be. I need to find one. If anybody out there has one,
Just need to get
school
yourself-
ocean kayak prowler.
I'm sure there's a lot of them out there.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Make me a deal.
Next time we paddle together, I'll let you use the
Ultra.
If we go, I'm only using that on the bridge because that's my
Well,
distance boat.
now saying that, I started using this Tetra 12.
For the backwater,
I love it,
yeah.
and
I
it's
use
been
one
a
too. I use
blast,
one too.
and and it's kind of the same kind of attributes, 12-foot boat, but it's really narrow and a lot of secondary stability, not a lot of primary stability, but I can stand up in it, and it's got a good rock. I like that boat, but
Yeah.
it's pretty quick.
It's
not exactly as seaworthy as of course the 15 or anything.
I
but
don't like
Yeah.
taking ways with that thing. It does.
not that
Because
it's
of the nose.
seaworthy, but it does.
The nose
it
is
does
so
a little
small.
short,
It does take some ways
Yeah.
over, but it's fun just
It's a
to
fun boat.
paddle around the back
Yeah.
and especially in the summertime, it's real low, feet in the water, you
Yeah.
know, that whole thing.
Yeah.
But that is a good one. So yeah, you do. Yeah, I have seen you with pictures with that boat. Let's see. Another question. That was the paddles. Justin Baker's coming from. Secret spots. Yeah. Kayak lights.
Oh, he was talking about blade materials too
Oh.
for the paddle.
Yeah.
I for a long time thought carbon fiber. I don't need that mess, and I'll just mess it up.
Yep, we did.
Wrong.
Yeah.
You already talked about that.
No, but
Wrong.
I'm with you on that.
Right.
At least fiberglass, but carbon fiber paddles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but even the blade. Gosh, every ounce you save.
Yeah, it does.
Is-
It does. And going from a carbon blade to the
Right.
the fiberglass blades,
Oh,
you can
yeah.
notice it now.
Oh
It's-
I take mine with me everywhere I go.
Yeah, we've all shifted over too. Like those blades, but it's not. I think what it was for us, it just scared when we pushed off a piling.
Right.
The noise of this, because it goes
Right.
ping rather than a thump with
Yeah.
that, it just made us nervous. But
Like, sounds like it's gonna break.
but it's not.
Yeah.
We've tried to smash these things and they
Oh
don't
yeah,
break.
yeah,
I mean,
no,
we've hit it against the
They know
pilings.
what they're doing.
They're fine. We haven't had that problem. So yeah, I would say carbon. If you can afford it, get the carbon.
And now Bending Branches. Some other companies are making longer paddles for some of these higher, boats that are coming out.
elevated.
Yeah, the elevated seated, boats. So you got to look at.
Well,
Sooner or later, you're gonna see one with like a bar.
Well, Aquabound.
Oh, they got that. Oh, the paddle.
Yeah.
Oh, they
got
have
this-
aerodynamic
No,
ones,
I'm
man.
saying the
Oh,
one like the, no, I'm saying like
Oh.
it's gonna come in up like a U.
Yeah.
To keep the paddle low to the water, you're gonna be paddling low. The paddle blades are gonna be down here.
I see.
Yeah.
But talking about the different heights on different boats, I'm using now a adjustable ferrule, not
right.
adjustable ferrule, but adjustable length.
Right.
So
right.
I go from
Yeah.
and it started
that's
when
right.
I was fishing I got my camping boat this year.
Right.
As I'm out there for 4 days, my water supply lightens up, my boat lightens up. So I'm starting out with a 220.
Right.
And by the end of the day, I'm at 225. By
Right.
the end of the 4 days, I'm at 225, 226 because
Right.
I've gotten so high in the water because I've used up all the supplies.
Right.
So that, and then then I got the Predator boat. So
Right.
now I've got a high angle paddle with that adjustable ferrule too.
Right,
So
right.
and so because sometimes I paddle with that boat, the high chair position, I slip forward on it, kind of bounce on my back of my right at the edge of my butt and my almost cross-legged, and it's like a canoe.
Yeah.
So I shorten the paddle up, and then I'm like
Right.
paddling like a canoe. So those adjustable length
Right.
paddles now, Aquabound has, they're awesome. They're awesome. I showed a little bit on the last video, but I'm going to show it on some videos coming up because it's important, especially with these. I have 3 boats that are different heights, and I use one paddle for.
Right.
But I can adjust the different.
Yeah.
And
when you consider
lengths.
you take what 800 paddle strokes a mile, you know, it adds
and
up.
hell, halfway through a long day, if you just shorten or lengthen your paddle, it changes your cadence. It almost like hits different parts of your muscles in your back. You can relax other ones, and because if you paddle with a short, I'm paddling like this, and I want to go. I just need to loosen up. I'll get it wider, and I can just go longer strokes. Probably not as effective, but it's different. It changes my body. It's almost like weeding with one hand and then shifting over, and you're relaxing the other side. And you're relaxing other muscles that you weren't using before by extending out.
Yeah.
But I've learned that just from this past year using these adjustable length for paddles, and they're awesome.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah.
So carbon fiber and adjustable links and Aquabound.
Right.
But you were using a Swift paddle.
That was just that was a backup that I had.
Okay, but that was a cool looking paddle. I liked the way that one looked.
Yeah.
And it had the it had this that touring
Mm-hmm.
paddle shape to it. I like that.
I mean, it's one of the most important. It probably one of the obviously most important purchases when you first buy your kayak. But really, I mean, it is the motor. It's as important as the kayak.
It's your prop.
Yeah,
your motor is your body, but your prop,
and the better you get, it makes a huge difference.
Your prop's all off, and on a boat, it's going to run your motor wrong. It's going to burn your gas wrong. Your prop has to be perfect, and your paddle is your prop.
And in the long run, by the time you replace 2 or 3 cheaper paddles, you paid for the more expensive one. You can't, you get the right PFD when you first start out, something that's comfortable that you're going to wear, and the right paddle that you're going to be able to go the distance with. And a boat that's comfortable, and the type of boat that's for what type of fishing you do.
That's the thing.
Now these things have gotten so, these boats have gotten so, fishing specific, and you really have to be careful about what you buy and what kind of fishing. And sure you can buy general boats.
And where you go, I mean, you get one of these high gunnel boats, and you want to go out to the first island when those winds come up. And you might not make it back on one of those high gunnel boats. And you gotta be strong to get back with it. If I was in a predator out the first island when those 20-mile-an-hour winds come up, we got to paddle against that. I probably won't make it. And I'm strong, and I might not make it. It might be an issue.
Well, and that's the thing. You probably would, but you wouldn't be happy.
I mean, it was tough enough in the.
It took us 3 hours of straight paddling that day. 3 straight hours.
Yeah, and the whole time I'm like just working technique, just to stay on. Just do your technique, just paddle right, just paddle right, push and pull and push and pull and push and pull and push and pull and push and pull.
From piling to piling, just gotta get to the next piling, get to the next piling.
And many, Damien started me on this is counting the piling strokes.
Yeah, oh really? Yeah, that's a good one.
Days you can get down to like 10, 11. You're doing real good.
I'm moving, We've gotten down to 10. I've gotten 9 and 10. I think I've gotten, and that's flying. That's flying. But 18, 20 paddle strokes,
18 to 22.
Oh God, you're moving like complete river. Complete river crossing the whole way down, and you're miserable. Yeah, taking breaks behind the pilings, going, one more, and then there's 80 million more after that. The next one, piling to piling.
Everything you do to get along.
And having a good paddle is not going to hurt you. Not going to hurt you. Even if that money to buy them, it's worth having.
Yeah, it's as important as the kayak.
You got to think about too, not only where you're going to be fishing, but how you're going to transport this thing. Some of these boats, you're not going to carry this thing. But then there's boats out there now that are under 40 pounds. And the inflatable boats, they've come a long way recently.
That's been pretty cool. All, man. I wouldn't trust those at all.
But you should.
Sharkin.
Don't care.
The Sharkin.
They're reinforced.
They're tough. No, but the nice thing is that you can pack it up. You can put it in a suitcase if you live in an apartment. You take the bus. You know what I mean? You unload it. Boom. You're on.
You can't get on water.
You're bass fishing until a pike slashes.
Bass fishing fine. I'm just talking about.
They're not going to pop and inflatable. You're not going to pop it.
One little leak and you're
sinking
in it.
Well, I mean, one little
folding
leak
up on you.
I honestly,
it's gotta be
I've almost sunk on one this week before too.
True. Hey, I've had a leak in my plastic boat, and let me tell you,
That's why I know. It's the worst feeling when you take a roller. You take a roller, and all of a sudden it stays there.
Yeah, right. You're like, what's going on?
And you lean over here, and it goes whoosh, and it slides over to here again. Yeah, I've had that a couple times, a lot. And shit, my first tour, I had a hole in my boat, and I had to patch it up every week.
Yeah, we were fishing one day, and I was like, "Man, this feels real weird." And you're like, "Yeah, you're really low to the water." I paddled up onto the beach, man, and we couldn't even pull the kayak up onto the beach. Like, whoa, this thing is full of water.
And they get more stable to an extent, but then once you get past a certain extent,
because it sticks. It sticks, and it wants to pull you under. It wants to pull you under. And like when I crossed the bay, and I took on my water, all the water on my boat. It was everything. I had to stop. I had to stop moving just so I could put my legs over top of it and keep the boat upright. Yeah. At that point, I knew I wasn't paddling anymore. I had to get rescued. I was flagging down the boat, and I just wanted to keep the boat upright. If it rolled, I was going to lose shit. If I keep it upright, and once the boat came, and I got off, and it came up a little bit. It came up enough not to roll. Right. You know what I mean? And when I got off of it, but I wasn't going to get in the water because then I couldn't control it. If I get in the water and try to hold it, I wouldn't be able to control it. Up on it, using my paddle to just basically do this. Right. A boat comes by and I do this, So, yeah. It's just
how do you patch up your boat on the run?
I was using gel super glue and duct tape, and just like a patch on a bike tire. You put the gel. As long as and this was a wear hole in my first tour boat. It came from pulling it up on boat ramps. Just grinded that right where the scupper is, and it's an early boat too, a 2001 boat, so it made scuppers a lot better than now. And so it was a scrape, and it was just like kind of folded up like this. So I put the gel super glue in all that, and then put duct tape over top of that and smeared it out. So it created a good seal. Enough for me to finish off tours. I finished off that tour, and and they even went on another one with it like that. Yeah. So no, I just did one tour with that one. Yeah, I did another boat after that. But ever since that, I'm always sketched about, and just the idea of an inflatable boat. Yeah.
Oh well.
Just the idea of an inflatable boat. No, bluefish.
Something you can reel fast and shiny.
Well, it depends on where you're fishing too. But.
Yeah. I mean, typically, I'm guessing if you're a noob or whatever, as this guy says, he's probably looking like in the inlets, Lynn Haven.
Is he around here?
Rudy.
Bluefish aren't usually that tough. The hardest thing is usually finding them. And then fooling them to bite, but they'll take almost anything.
Yeah, once you find them, they're aggressive.
Top water, swimming plugs, whatever. Something that's going to hold up to their teeth. Like a hard bait or a spoon. Soft plastics, they'll eat them up. And they'll eat them up. But
I like to sling silvers because you can throw them a long way. Yeah. You can reel them really fast back to you, and the faster you reel, the more water you cover. You're not going to reel faster than these stupid things can.
No.
You
got gotcha plugs,
Yeah, gotcha plugs work for them. Great. If they hit it wrong,
obviously live bait,
lose $4 lure.
And steel leader.
Yeah, steel leader.
But then even sometimes I remember at HRBT when I was trying to catch blues for drum bait using steel leader, they'll attack. You'll have one on, and then they'll attack the
swivel.
The swivel.
Yeah.
Boom. Bites it right off.
Captain Fanny Pack.
But the trouble is, but the trouble is, is finding them. And recently around here, you guys found them in Rudy, of course, with live baits last year. We used to get them on Little Creek Jetty. Remember, casting poppers right in the evening.
Yes,
catch
they
some
get
nice
loose.
Ones.
Yep. This is springtime,
early summer,
post spawn. They're all skinny with big heads, but they're 30-inch.
So many teeny tiny ones.
Yeah. Because it seems
you can't even fish sometimes, but why you don't see the ones that are like 2 to 5 pounds, like the Taylor Blues as much anymore.
Right, right.
Of course, on the islands of the Bridge Tunnel and stuff, you can always find them usually. But.
Yeah, but there was always a time where you could catch those 26-inchers and stuff like that. Those were a lot. And maybe it's a cyclic thing where that generation, maybe those little ones, I thought they were grow faster than that though. It seems like they really grow
there's a
faster
lot
than
of
that.
little tiny ones that just tear up your stuff every time you try to.
Yeah, and fishing inshore, like you're fishing a jetty or something, and you have to get past them, and then if you're ready to come up, you have to really fast to get past them again because they're in that mid water column, mid to top water column, and just wipe you out.
Some spade fishing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There'll be
Move. I get.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm next filing.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be looking at spade fish and can't even fish for them
The blues
just take all your bait instantly.
Yep. Little ones, like the little ones like this.
Like candy bar sized.
Now what?
Snickers
Now
bar sized blue
the blues. When I was a kid, I'm 43. When I was a kid in the 70s, bluefish were the big fish that were in the bay. Stripers weren't. I didn't even know what a striper was until I started fishing again as an adult.
Bluefish and gray trout.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the fish. Well, bluefish was like the big fish. That was like our big 40-inch fish, or they were 40s back then. They were huge. I remember seeing huge ones. We were catching huge ones. Now, since the stripers have come back, the blues have those big blues don't dominate these waters anymore. You know, of course, you get one big predator in, maybe another one has moved out.
Right.
But it seems like they're starting to at least come into Rudy now, but that's like an ocean inlet.
Yeah,
that's an unusual
that
inlet
seems
for
like
a
a
line,
freak of nature kind of thing. I mean, I know that they've always come in there
but
in the spring.
they're consistent. They're consistent.
They do come in there in the spring.
But it seems like that's one spot they come in. We're not going to show up at Lynn Haven consistently.
But like the big run of near shore blues,
yes,
we used to get like. Remember that time we paddled out to Cape Henry?
Blitzes, and I mean, when I was a kid here in Ocean View, I used to run down the beach following the blitzes and as they're blowing up trout, as they're blowing up. 40-inch. I remember running out on the pipes here, watching them come by as a kid. Just it was scary actually. It was looking at it was like I mean, they just zoom by and it's just dead scales and pieces of fish, and they're down to the next one. They just run by and just
on to the next one.
It just nothing, and they just keep on going. You can see the water was real clear. It was cool, but we don't have that as much anymore. But we have the stripers move in now. The stripers are starting to thin out, and they're starting to change their maybe not so much thin out or. Yeah, I know everybody loves to jump on the numbers are dwindling and all that stuff. Well, yes, I'm sure they are. It sure seems like it is.
I mean, people are sure catching enough of them too.
And they're catching them, but they're also changing their patterns. They're going out offshore a lot like this. But
what is inshore more though is the drum
and cobia.
Well, right.
You lose one. You have one big predator that's in the bay, and he changes his migration patterns, or he changes his summer or wintry or whatever he needs, whatever he's to do. But the thing about striper and reds and that they're about the same time of year. It's the stripers or maybe the stripers move out, maybe the blues because it's the same time of year will start to move in again. But who knows? Who knows? Or they all get wiped out and. The stripers are all, and there's all the other stuff.
They're stupid and they'll eat anything you throw in the water.
Yeah, I mean you're right. We've got better speckled trout and red drum fishing than we've ever had. Striper fishing's tough. We've not seen as many bluefish. Who's seen a gray trout? I think Lee caught the last one ever.
But the stripers, you sure have. You sure did.
He caught it in Rudy.
And I think there was a few caught.
Like I said, I saw those giant ones in that fish market on the Eastern Shore. But that lady threw that one on the scale, and it was over 18 pounds.
Well, they've had some up.
Great trout. I mean,
of course, they catch them up north too.
Yeah, they're catching them north in the Eastern Shore. Yeah. This came out of a net on the northeastern shore. On the Eastern Shore up to the north. Yeah, sure. I mean, she had 3 of them, and the biggest one was 18 something, and the smallest one was like 16 something.
This is gutted.
I literally walked through, looked. And turned around and walked back and was like, "Oh my, those are trout,
gray trout,
sea monsters."
Yeah.
But so they'll be back.
I
wonder where
I enjoy catching the drum anyway.
Well, the thing is, I know. Me too.
That doesn't explain away the obviously ecological and management issues that are surrounding these species as well.
A lot of the management stuff, I think it's late. It's action too late on a lot of stuff. But same time, I still think a lot of stuff is cyclical. It's cyclical. I think fish they move in and out. They migrate. They have bad spawning years that changes. Reds have moved their range. They're in Maryland, consistently like they're in Lynn Haven now, or they used to be in Lynn Haven. That's why everybody freaked out. But see, the problem is everybody immediately jumps to, oh, these fish are dead, or they're overfished, or it's immediate. It's immediate. But instead of having that knee, think about it. Think about these fish. I mean, I mean, these guys were telling me when I was on my tour, they said within the last 5 years, we've had more red drums showing, these smalls, these showing up is becoming a fishery.
Right.
We go and target these things now, and they have giant speckled trout. It's like Hunger River. This is like Nowhereville, Maryland, Eastern Shore. This is so far out, you know, it's hard to even get there, you know, so it's beautiful, water. But now, I think it's all cyclic. So those happen like that, and gray trout, although they're big ones, keep getting caught, and they're not as moving in as they were. But people are starting to see more big ones come in. But at the same time, like you said, the reds. I mean, I'll chase a red as long as those things are protected. I'm good with that. Now the thing, another thing people are jumping or get all scared about is the speckled trout die-offs.
Yeah, it happens. A bunch of dead ones.
It happens. And it happened a few years ago in Rudy, and it wasn't like maybe it was before this river fishing, and everybody was fishing for speckled trout all winter long. But it's happened for a few years, man. I just don't. It's not going to be that big of a deal. And how much longer is a 30-inch trout going to live anyway?
And that's the thing. And a 30-inch trout is at the end of its lifetime, and it's only about maybe 7 to 10 years old. They grow fast. They repopulate. They're pretty well. They're not like spot and croaker, but they are still fast growers. They're drum. So drum are dominant. They are dominant species.
If you saw thousands and thousands and thousands of 12-inchers dead, that was probably more of a worry than a lot of these big 30s. I mean, these fish are old. Yeah, yes, it got cold and they didn't make it, but you don't see as many of the tiny ones with it, or we did. I mean, I haven't been down to the dock to look.
And maybe the small ones also are more resistant. They can hide down to holes, get more water, like that.
Sunday down at Rudy at the ramp, there were 3 or 4 big dead trout laying and nice sized puppy drum laying there that the seagulls had gotten to. I couldn't tell how long they'd been there. The tide was high, and when we launched, but and then as we were coming back in, we saw a big trout, just swimming along the surface.
And that's how they get beat. I mean, they're trying to sun themselves, and the birds beat the crap out of them.
Oh
yeah, they try to nail them.
The seagulls can't pick a speckled trout up out of the water. They can sure
jump on his back.
Yeah, they can sure beat him to death. Yeah,
but again, these are parts of. And now what happens is when you have these big fish kills down in the Pamlico Sound or places like that, and that can happen when we have these big southern storms like we've had this year. I mean, they've had more snow in Hatteras than we've had here.
Yeah, and especially in the last one.
We've had a lot of snow here.
In the last storm that came through, they had snow. We didn't have it. But and I think it's a lot of it's cyclical. I don't think it's so much that it's immediate it's overfished and all that stuff. And these fish recover. It's is natural happening. And it's kind of surprises me when I see reds in Lynn Haven, because those things reds can get out.
Yeah.
Reds. I tagged. I don't know. I think I've said it before, but I tagged a red in York River, and we had a nor'easter come through, and there was a fall or something, or a low pressure, one of those tropical systems come through. 5 days later, it was recaptured in Orkney. So when they want to move, they can move. That's why these reds get caught. These guys are, you guys had your chances to get out of there.
Right.
You had, everybody else has, because and most of the time when I was tagging, my recaptures during the winter were coming from Pamlico in those areas and back in the back of it, and even up in Currituck, they would come down and up and around and up in. So they can move when they want to, and I think sometimes.
I mean, these big fish might be like, no, they cannot make that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These big ones, they hole up in these creeks because they know they're like, man, we can't go. We cannot make it that far. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or because this whole winter, and we might think about the fish kill times and what kind of weather we had. This was a mild winter, and then all of a sudden it went real winter. Right through December, it was just nice and calm. It was all kind of fall-like, so the temperatures never really. They were still in the.
Yeah, we were striper fishing, supposed to be catching them.
Yeah, we're still in the high 40s, still good. And then we get real cold front, and freezes, and that is what hurts the fish. Not so much that the freezes, every freeze gets them. It's just that they weren't ready for it. They are used to having the cold fronts come through and go, okay, here's. Temperatures getting more, maybe we should start moving out. That's what I think anyway. From my tagging research, from my tagging data, that's what I kind of put together.
Yeah, sure, plenty of them move, but the youngest of the ones, they can't, they stay for the first few years in the estuary. So they're the ones that they do get affected, but the ones that you're going to find up in Maryland and places like that, they're all in and out of there, migratory.
Yeah. Yep.
But
yeah, and
fingers crossed.
Yeah, I just, and when people, it's just, it's the fishery's a fishery. It happens, it's cyclic. You got to remember that nothing's always the same. You know, everything changes year by year, and
yeah, I mean, no matter what management you do, you know, there's always the natural element to it, but still, you know, there has to be responsibility taken on all sides.
Yep, and that's the thing is, I'm never ever saying nothing, you know, bad about management. I was about the
don't go through and scoop them up in nets.
Yes, I mean, I was there for the sheep's head regulation. I was one of the guys like, sheep's head.
And people were filling coolers with them.
Yeah, and what a great success story. I mean, the management came in, boom, you can't wipe them out. You can only have 4, which I even thought I was like 2.
Right. Yeah.
But it's working. It's working. I don't have a problem with it now because I'm seeing plenty of fish being caught. I'm seeing, you know, there's plenty of citations being caught. I'm seeing these millions of little ones while we're trout fishing by the rocks that we're just hanging over top of. It's amazing. I've never seen that in my life. Never seen that in my life, and that's awesome.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
That's
little sheep's head are all over the place.
That's what I love seeing. That's real. Yeah.
See little togs, little sheep's head inside the inlets.
It's so weird. It's so weird to see these little aquarium things, and you take your jig over to them, and they're like mad at it. You can see it. They're like
sheep's head are really protective of their rocks.
They are. It's pretty cool. And you have the bigger one, hanging right on the top of the big rock, and then you got his little guys hanging out around him. So you got one king. So you know. Of course, where you on a rock, you want to put it right on top of the middle of the big rock because you've got the big master sheep's head that hangs out right there. Yeah, it's my next strategy.
Master sheep's head. Yeah, there's got to be another world record out there.
Yeah, I think it's going to come from here.
I'm going to catch it.
Ever try a trolling motor out there? Actually, I have. Testing out a boat. This was a few years ago, you know, and it had a trolling motor in it. This model has not been was not released, but yeah.
Oh yeah, so you tried out something.
Yeah,
that never even got released.
And I had to paddle it back with this motor in the bottom of it. But you know, I mean, but that was a long time ago, and the you know, the advancements even there, you know, and that's amazing because that gives so many people, you know, more options. People who can't maybe paddle, you know, some of these places and access some of these things, you know, now they can motor out to it and paddle around once they get there, you know, but now, you know, like some of these like the Torpedo, have you seen that thing?
Yeah.
The electric one from Germany, that thing is amazing, you know, and then the you know, Ocean Kayaks Torque, you know, of course. And,
what's cool about the Torque itself is that you can actually paddle that boat.
Yeah.
You can take that. While you're on the water, you can take the engine, the prop out, put a skeg in there, and it paddles like 13, like a Triton 13.
Right.
And that's what's cool about that. It's probably the better paddling
but
one.
They you know, this thing I was testing out was a kayak that had a hole in the middle of it, like, you know, a Hobie would for a Mirage drive, and you just stuck the trolling motor down the middle of it, right between your legs.
So it's in front. It's in front of you.
Yeah.
It's in front of you. Okay.
And then the battery was like behind you, and you know, it was a little sketchy, but it worked, you know, and it worked fine until the battery ran out. But
then
paddle back.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing.
But
now
you know, now
you might have to paddle these things. Always keep in mind you might have to paddle these things.
You know, they take them seriously, you know, and they've done a lot of work on them. And then you have like bass yaks, and they can sell a kit that'll transfer any kayak into a almost any boat into a motorized
with a rudder system, right?
Yeah.
Basically goes on a rudder system.
Yeah, it's like where the rudder would go, the motor goes, wires all through it,
Yeah.
So, no, but, you know, there's a lot coming on there, and it's a great...
Rob wants to know if we're mothershipping off of your boat this year, and yes, we are. And Jason Parsons asked, interesting. Mothershipping versus trolling motor. Anywhere we can go with the trolling motor, we're going to paddle. If we mothership around here, it's like 50 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, we plan on going like offshore to the towers or things like that. So there's really not anything to compare. I mean, I'm not... Not to say that, I mean, I'm not a fan of the Propel kayaks anyway, but I'm not going to register mine. You know what I mean? I'm not registering.
That's right. Yeah,
you got to register
the boat here in Virginia if you have a motor on it.
If you have a motor on it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's you know, it's not, it's you know, whatever whatever way you got to get there.
Eventually,
yeah,
this is going to wear out. This is going to eventually. If I live long enough, this is going to wear out, and a motorized boat is probably going to be my ticket at that point. I mean, realistically.
Was it this issue? I was looking.
No, my leg's already bad. I can't do any kick.
Yeah, but it's however you got to get out there, whatever you got to do. You can't judge anybody on how they they go.
Yep.
As far as comparing, like, I don't know. Because mother-shipping around here, the only mother-shipping I've ever done was we wouldn't make it there. You're not going to make it there on a trolling motor or as many batteries as you can put in the boat. You still weren't going to make it.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like there was no.
But even mother-shipping way back into the back areas, or even for people who again have a difficult time accessing down certain places
down in Florida, the flats are so expansive. I mean,
shoot, they're doing mothership. What do they call it? Where they have a big houseboat out in the middle of the flats out there, and then they mothership from there.
I think they did that in South Carolina or something. Salmons even did a show on that. Yeah.
So there's just so many different options, and it's fun to see everybody exploring these different things and trying different stuff out, Well,
that's the thing about kayak fishing. It's still growing. It's interesting at this point. I mean, when we first started, I was like, okay, I always thought, okay, where's the ceiling in this thing? Where is it? I mean,
it still hasn't gotten there, for sure.
Yeah, it was early on. I was like, just looking in the future, just kind of daydreaming about it. Where is it? And where I thought there was going to be one, actually. I thought there was going to be a certain limit to it where it was just going to be, these people were wanting to fish, but it's actually gone further than I ever thought. It's gotten outside of that, where it's not only, fishermen and surf anglers getting into it, and that's kind of where I thought it was going to be in some boaters, but it's people who are just seeing it as something cool to do, and not even anglers, not even kayakers. These are people, just straight people that are picking up on YouTube or finding it somewhere and going, damn, check this out, and they're getting into it, or seeing even these magazines on the shelf, even seeing that, and they might look at it and see it. But I see a lot of that, and that's interesting to me. That's where I wouldn't think it would have gotten that big. Where it was becoming mainstream, where people were just picking it up, not through channels of your rewood. You would have to find clubs, and it was kind of like, okay, who's kayaking? Oh yeah, you paddle it and find somebody. Hey, what's up, dude?
Everybody knew everybody. The kayaks have come so far too, and they're so user friendly now that really anybody can get into a kayak and at any age, at any level. Again, the Wounded Warriors prove that every time they get together. These guys to go out and kayak and fish and have a great time and feel completely confident and be completely comfortable. That just speaks a lot to the accessibility of it, and I think that appeals to people because they're looking for an easy way to get on the water and get out there and do this stuff, get away from the bank, and it definitely provides.
And that's what it really is. It's the easy way to get on the water, and that's when we were first starting our seminars and shit like that, it was always it's the easiest thing you do. It's less hassle, and it's easy to do.
Yeah, and it just keeps getting easier and easier, and that's great too. You see these companies that come up and do things, to make it even better and easier, more accessible to people. So yeah, it's exciting, and I don't know, ceiling, no.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. It's amazing.
And the cool thing is, we just got a report from one of the kayak companies saying that their research showed that not only were they selling more kayaks and stuff, but they were selling their better models too. Right. So maybe people came in and they bought an entry level boat, and now they're to the point where they're buying a nicer boat too. So it's got that level to it as well. So it's fun to be a part of. That's for sure.
Hopefully we'll get a chance to do some of that this year. Showing people the difference in entry level boats and
we're gonna. I brought up with Ocean Kayak. I wanted to do our team thing to do just Ocean Kayak demos. So just because I get so many emails,
I've been to one for another company. I went to one for Wilderness with Jay one time, and people showed up, man, and it sold kayaks. It showed up, and people got to paddle this one, and they got to paddle this one. It was a nice little pond in Newport News.
What's the difference between the Tridents and the Ultras and this and that?
You can talk until your heart is content, dude. You can really talk until
you get on the water,
you start blue in the face.
When you get on the water and feel it, you'll understand. So that's what I brought it up. It's like I get a lot of emails from this. That's what we're going to do this year as a as a Virginia team thing.
Right.
Organization kayak.
It's such a good idea to just show people.
Yeah, you got to demo a boat. I mean, you wouldn't buy a used car, I hope, over the internet. Not that you wanted to drive seriously, And the same thing with a kayak. You're going to spend so many hours in it, and it really is going to be, it's going to be one of the factors that determines whether you have a good time on the water.
Whether you have a good time and you stay doing it or not.
Yep.
And so yeah, it serves to go to a paddle shop, where they'll have demo days, or a lot of them,
they'll let you use one if you're interested
rent
in
one
buying
or use one, and they'll let you demo boats, and that is the only way to choose one. You can't even ask your friend, your best buddy, who's going to do the same thing you're going to do. You can't even ask him what he's got because
Right. He and I prefer completely different
all
boats.
three paddle different boats.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah, it is. You like the shorter boats.
Yeah.
I like the long boats.
I don't like the longer boats at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just because of what I was paddling longboat, and I'm used to dealing with that. It's a whole different animal than a short boat. You have to, you want to turn, you got to start turning back there,
right?
or do a leg maneuver. But if you're just paddling, you want to turn, you got to kind of anticipate. Where in the short boat, and you like the ancient. What it would be actually, they haven't sold that boat in 5 years.
Yeah.
They had it on the classic thing 6 years ago.
This thing was a classic 6 years ago.
100 years ago it was a classic, and you're still riding it. So but it's still. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm not faulting you. I'm just giving you shit because I rode that thing for a long time and loved it, and still the boat I ride today is kind of like that.
Modeled close to similar to it.
Bridge boat.
That's the type of fishing that we do, and that it was developed for that kind of open water fishing as well.
Yep. Well, cool. I think we're closing up. I think we're good. Any more questions pop up on there?
I don't think so. Sure.
Yeah, you already. I see Club Challenge. I think
I'm all the way down to Jim.
Yeah, see, mine's not
Rob.
even. Yeah, yours is. I'm not even getting all that. My phone is like not even picking up any of that.
Yeah, we're good.
So we're good. Oh, man, I appreciate you guys coming, man. Or I appreciate you staying.
Coming, it's his house.
Yeah, come
right. I'm here. I answered the door, folks.
Yeah. I appreciate
to answer your question.
I really appreciate
my own question earlier. I answered the door.
Yeah, I do really appreciate you letting us do this here. It's you saved the podcast, and I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming in and doing it, man. I knew I wanted to get you in here because you're an interesting guy, and you're not like upfront like we are, but you've done a lot, man.
He's the most popular person nobody knows.
That's it. Really between
we do keep it that way.
Does anybody
when we pull into that boat ramp, it's quiet, silence. I just get in the truck, back the trailer down, put the boat on the trailer, we pull around to our thing. It's just silence. Silence is golden.
Well, it's about the anglers, it's about the sport, and it's fun to be a reporter of that, and watching it grow. And
it's interesting what you do with that reporter side of it. I say like you're a real writer. When somebody says that I'm a writer, I said I'm not a writer. I just write about the shit I do. I wouldn't have shit to write about if I didn't do anything. Rick can go and just be on a boat and write like
feel the experience.
He's been, like you were there.
That's what
real writers do. Yeah. What we knuckleheads do, we don't really write, and I definitely from my expansion and my kind of push on with my exposure, you and Captain Reese were the ones who got me to that level where I was doing seminars and we were and not only that for me personally, I thank you and Reese for that. You guys were the first ones to do that. You with the magazines and
there's no holding you back. That's for sure. And you've taken the sport to another level as well. Certainly from started to.
And then on that level, I couldn't have done that without you either. I couldn't have broken out into the big time or so much. What do you call it, big time? Being exposed to people and exposing the sport to people and helping me. We learned how to do this fishery here that we still do today.
Yeah.
We learned it from scratch.
Yeah.
There was no one who taught us about how to do it out of kayak. Me and you had to put our heads together and can we do this?
Yeah.
I think so. that was the question. Is that you asked me, can we do this in kayaks? Yeah. I'm going, I think we can.
Yeah. So that was fun. That's for sure.
Yeah. So
and it continues to go.
It, man. Yeah, it does continue
not done
to go
yet.
completely. Yeah. Yep. And so yeah, Lee will be here on podcast, most podcasts. And next Tuesday, February 25th, we'll have Mark Lozier from First Landing Kayak Fishing Service. So Lozier will be here.
Mark Lozier.
And that's at 7. So you're going to be coming in late on that one.
Probably.
Yeah. So he's at the gym on Tuesdays and he'll be coming in late. But yeah, I'll have Mark Lozier here, and Lozier's a good friend of mine. Worked with him. If you ever contacted me about guiding, that's the one I send you his email address. So yeah, or his website. I recommend him whenever somebody asks me about guiding, because I'm not a guide. I do this one little thing I give to people. I'm not a guide. So he is, and he's a really good guide around the area, and he's doing that Everglades tournament.
Oh, good.
That cool. He's doing that this week, so he's going to be fresh from that. We're going to talk about that. And
that'd be cool to see.
Yeah, it was like perfect timing, because the last time
that's
we did
crazy. That's the one where woo, yeah.
Yeah, you got.
Yeah.
I think
you got to check in and everything.
You got to check in, get a identifier, catch fish between check-in 1, check-in 2. You have to catch those fish by a certain time to get there. Get another one, go to check-in 3, check-in 4, and all that stuff. So it's really.
Yeah, I've heard stories. It's a marathon.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, sounds like fun. Yeah. See, what I want to do, I want to step it up another level, right? My idea is like do it in the summertime and do it multiple days where you have to camp out there.
Yeah.
Talking about some tough shit. Mosquitoes taking you away, you might go insane.
You
gotta.
He'd be the only contestant.
Right. I win. I'm here. I lived 3 days.
It'll change your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's next Tuesday, February 25th, 7-ish. Lozier and First Landing Kayak Service.
The later it starts, the more I'll be in it.
yeah. Sorry we started off late today. We're just getting it started, and got to figure out my computer.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What I'll probably do is we'll just bring a cord next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always feel more confident with the cord anyway, rather than
right.
We didn't lose. No, it didn't lose nothing. It was
nobody
fine.
said we lost anything.
Yeah, I appreciate Rick bringing his computer. We used his. Yeah, it was fine. And you can't see it from that angle, can you? No. Good. Okay. Last time we were all staring at this. I was like, okay, I need to turn this.
So now I look up there and at you more.
Yep.
Than the TV. I mean, it's really easy to look at the TV.
So
and
easy.
like that's the camera. You know what I mean? Because you're looking at
Yep. So we're done. I appreciate it, guys. Till next Tuesday.